April the 7th, 2015. There's some updates coming out about the Fukushima disaster. Guys, this is one of my least favorite topics to talk about because it is so disastrous. We cannot do what the politicians have done and turn our back and ignore this beast approaching the West Coast very fast. It's there. It is all around the world. We have to face the facts on this. I love the ocean, and it breaks my heart to see this. We saw it back with the BP oil spill when it was killing creatures all through the Gulf of Mexico. To me, one of my favorite places in the world. I've also seen California and the beaches there. Beautiful. This is all before Fukushima. But guys, we cannot ignore it, and you cannot ignore the eventual health results if you live in that area. It's going to spread around the world. You're just on the front lines. Alaska, California, Oregon, the entire West Coast, including Hawaii. But this is coming out in National Geographic. What has happened? And it's got to do with the constant badgering, guys, from YouTube and Facebook and different places trying to get the politicians' attention. Now it's getting to where they can't even ignore it anymore. The scientists are starting to get money and some funding to do the research, finally. But National Geographic is reporting that newly discovered mass mortality in sea creatures along the California coast. Body parts falling off, animals wasting away. Researchers fear that the sea star epidemic is spreading, and now they're picking up results from it all the way as far south as Baja. So be aware of that. Now, as we go through these latest reports, notice very little is mentioned about the Fukushima radiation. That's a hot potato to the scientists, because if they had come out and admit it, they will lose their funding. They will be taken out of the scene as far as this research goes. Smithsonian, April 6. Urchins could be the next victim of the sea star wasting disease. Millions of sea stars along North America's Pacific coast met a grisly end when a virus rotted their bodies into lumps of white goo. Scientists fear that greater consequences of this wasting disease are already at play, and the sickness may be spreading even further, as evidenced by the sea star's spiky cousin, the urchin. In Southern California, ecologists worry that the sea urchins can now be catching the same ailment. Guys, it's Fukushima radiation, and it can actually change viruses that have been in the environment for a long time. The Pacific Rocky Intertidal Monitoring Program, next up, March 13th. Let's go back a couple of weeks. Disease has also been seen in urchins in some locations. In the last few months, urchin disease symptoms have been reported in Southern California and Baja California. Tweet from the National Geographic, just go back a week, April 1st. Now urchins are wasting away off California in addition to sea stars, as the fallout from the sea star disease ripples along the California coast. National Geographic, April 1st. As sea stars dies, new worries about urchins in Southern California. Urchins are losing their spines and dying. It says the mass mortalities are newly discovered phenomena that appears to be connected to a die-off of sea stars in pockets from Santa Barbara to Baja California. Urchin spines are falling out, leaving a circular patch that loses more spines and enlarges with time. It says we think that there's a wasting event going on with the urchins. And this is Peter Ramonda, an ecology professor at the University of California at Santa Cruz. Quotation, it is by no means as rapid as the sea star wasting, but we do see it in multiple sites. And when we do see it, we see it in a lot of animals. Scientists revealed a virus active in marine ecosystems for 7 decades has suddenly flourished, although no one at this point understands why. That's the biggest crock you'll ever hear. They know exactly why. They just can't say it. They can't. Biologists have suggested that the virus may have evolved, becoming an extra potent slayer. It has evolved. Most are purple urchins, Ramonda says in their reports of mass mortalities. There are particular signs that point to this being a wasting event, the way the animals are dying, Ramonda says. The most common kinds of California urchins, the purple, red, and white, are losing their spines, and the leading edge of spine loss is often discolored. Guys in that area, remember these symptoms. Markers indicate that sea urchins in Southern California are now in a wasting event. South Coast urchins are doing poorly, losing spines and going bald. Researchers fear the sea star wasting disease has spread to the urchins. Now it says, according to another recent National Geographic report, urchins and cucumbers seem to have escaped the ill effects of the virus until now. But in recent weeks, reports have started to come in that they too are dying along beaches in the Pacific Northwest. Cornell microbiologist Ian Houston said he and his team are studying the urchins and sea cucumbers that are already dying to see if the same killer is responsible. Early 2015, notice at the bottom, they have found this in Hawaii. Government. Sick urchins have patchy loss of their spines and lesions. It's Fukushima. Guys, that is part of the problem. What's happening is we're starting at the lowest level of life in the oceans. You're talking about plankton and the other marine vegetation. About 70 to 80% of the Earth's oxygen come from those creatures. They're the first to die in the Pacific from this radiation. There's vast zones now of depleted oxygen areas, larger than ever before known in the Pacific Ocean. This is forcing fish to move. It's killing them. Again, the sea lions are starving. And as a matter of fact, when the event first happened, we started talking about this oxygen loss. If you go back a few years, experts are saying that the Pacific food web is crashing. What's going on? Where are the fish? Where did they go? To be honest, it's insane. You could equate it to a war zone. Food shortage all up and down the West Coast. The fishermen believe that pollution is harming the food chain, and they doubt Noah's warm water theory. It is the Fukushima radiation. And again, guys, the only good thing about this report is it's starting to get some coverage. But NBC San Francisco, March 17th, scientists are taking a closer look at rapidly declining oxygen levels in the oceans. In California, this has meant a huge freefall in populations of important bottom feeder fish. Francisco Chavez with the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute said, I think there are a slew of surprises ahead. They know, guys. East Bay Express, March 18th, says in 2013, the sardine biomass was estimated to be about 725,000 tons. In 2014, it was down to 406,000 tons. That's a 40% decrease, guys, in 1 year. And what will that look like at the end of this season? And Dr. George Hemingway is a retired oceanographer and marine educator. He's saying that the current crash in the food web has led to significant mortality of birds, sea lions, and other marine life. March 18th, NOAA points to water temperature as an answer for underweight sea lions. But fishermen aren't so sure. Fishermen tell News Channel 3 that past El Nino years have been warmer. They believe the sea lion food chain may be affected by pollution as well. Their habitat is being messed with. I just think they have behavioral changes that have been affecting them much more than it has in the past. And Fox San Diego, guys, they're saying that the sardines, crayfish have disappeared from the Pacific Ocean. They've just vanished. Marine mammals are starving, struggling to survive on the West Coast. Stranding in the past 5 weeks already exceeded what's normally seen for an entire year, much larger than anything on record. Unprecedented cataclysmic die-off of birds on the entire West Coast. Beaches covered with dead bodies. They're saying it's tragic. They've never seen anything like it. We ignore it at our peril. It is the canary in the coal mine. That's why I'm reporting it, because we do ignore this at our own peril. Again, I don't like reporting the destruction of this beautiful planet, but we cannot turn our backs. Guys, it's a heads up on this. You know we're going to be watching. Be safe.